Almost every recipe always ends with salt to taste or season to taste, but I find that advice very frustrating because it's very counterintuitive with the precise measurements provided in a recipe. Let's improve our flavor game together by mastering how to salt to taste. Because let's break down this sentence for a moment. How to salt to taste. The how.
How much salt do you actually use? And how do you add it to your food properly? And when?
And to salt. What salt do you actually use? And is every salt the same? What about other salty ingredients? And to taste. It's commonly known that people's taste palates are different, so how do you define the right amount of salt for you and your guests? And is there a chef's secret we're missing to always have flavorful food? First, the how. How do you salt something? We have the pinch, teaspoon, grinder, and palm drop. I'm most likely missing some weird salt grabbing techniques, but these are the basics. If you want to be on the safe side, weigh your salt on a scale, and otherwise the 2, 3 or 4 finger pinch is usually a good technique for proper salting. When you salt with the pinches technique, make sure you salt from high above to evenly sprinkle the salt over your food. Otherwise, if you get too close, you have a focused little pile of salt like this, and that is not doing a good job. But how much salt do you actually use? I've read up that basically you want to aim for 1 to 2% of the total weight of your recipe, but keep in mind that that is adding salt to the dish that already has salty ingredients in it. But more on that later. When you salt also matters, because ingredients soak up salt over time. That means the longer you let salted food sit, the more it penetrates the ingredients, thus the more flavor will be elevated, because that is what salt does. It doesn't make something salty, it elevates the flavors of the ingredients that are in the dish.
That's why it's a great idea to salt some foods such as chicken a few hours in advance for optimal flavor.
There's a whole chart I found that I'll leave for you here. Then second, the salt. Salt comes in many forms, and I went and bought many different salts to do a taste test to see which one tastes better. To get to the point, they all taste like salt, but this one was the saltiest and this one was the mildest. After doing some research, I found out that it all has to do with the saltiness level in the salt, but more importantly, how fast the salt diffuses, aka melts. The bigger the crystal, the slower it melts, the longer it takes for your taste buds to consume the salt. So it tastes saltier at first sight. Okay, quick real talk here. I'm not covering all the different salting techniques because it is endless. So for this video, I just want you to be able to season your food well. And let me know in the comments below with what you are struggling with in the kitchen. Or if you like me to explore other cooking techniques so you and I can become better cooks. Oh, and while you're there, if you like this video, press that like and subscribe button and become part of this community so we can chat about anything cooking related. Back to the video. Now the most important part of the sentence is taste. You need to like your food you are cooking, and that's why tasting your food is so important. But you cannot cook tasty food if you do not know what tasty means to you. So eat lots of good food, go to different restaurants, try food from different people, and dare to try new things and travel. If there's one thing that was eye-opening to me, it was all the flavors I tasted in my long trip in Asia. It is truly amazing to experience different cultures through food, and you train your palate along the way. Then if you want to match that tasty food, there's of course more involved with the flavor profile. But salt does a lot for the taste, so it's a good starting point to master. Now let's do an experiment together to improve your palate and salt game and make your food instantly better. Now you can do it right now at home if you have a can of tomato sauce. So first open a can of tomato sauce, heat it up, and if you want you can add some herbs like basil or oregano to it. Then divide it into different cups. Leave the first cup plain, no salt, then add 1 pinch of salt to the second bowl, 2 pinches to the third, 4 pinches to the fourth, and 8 pinches to the fifth. Taste them all from low to high amount of salt and try to taste slowly. You're looking for a tomato taste. Define which one tastes best and then keep tasting the ones with more salt. You'll know how much too much salt tastes like, and if you are not confident that you've tasted salt, just keep adding more and you'll find out. Now you know how much salt you like. Let me know in the comments below how many pinches that was. Now do the same exercise but with a roommate or your partner or a friend, and both reveal at the same time which one you found most delicious. If your buddy likes the one with less salt than yours, salt your food either in the middle and both adapt. One eats more salty, the other one eats less salty, or salt your food to the levels of your buddy and then add more salt to your plate when everything is finished. So next time you cook, think about what form of salt you use and how much. But wait, there is something very important you have to understand when cooking dishes and using salt. You are not always making a plain tomato sauce like you've done right now. You make a complex dish from multiple ingredients, so there are stages when you use salt. So let's say we are using a tomato sauce we just made. We cannot use the perfectly salted tomato sauce because more ingredients like parmesan, anchovies, or any other salty ingredient, it will become too salty if you add that. That's why we start by adding a little less salt at the start and then add all salty ingredients first, then taste the dish, and additionally add the salt at the end. Adding salt at the end is usually what's needed to optimally balance the flavors of your food, and it's the safest way to make sure you don't over-salt your food. Now you know what salt to use, how much, and when you should add it. Occasionally you will over-salt your food, and let me just say, removing salt is hard to do and a lot of work. So it's just best to prevent over-salting. You can always add more salt later. Let your ego go and add those salt and pepper grinders to the table. Many restaurants do it as well. No worries. I know that never over-salting your food is easier said than done, but I wanted to make sure you get that point. It's normal because we're all human. But if you over-salt, you can dilute the dish by adding more unsalted ingredients for stock, soups, curries. This is, for example, water. You can also cut your over-salted recipe in half. Make another batch without salting the recipe, add the unsalted recipe to the oversalted recipe, and then you have made a double recipe, but that's nice for some leftovers or to make somebody else happy. At least you don't have oversalted food anymore. And sometimes you just have to admit your failures, learn from it and start over. Another magical tip is that saltiness sometimes just needs to be balanced out. It can be that it just needs some more other flavor elements, because if you're only using salt, you'll get a long way, but it usually is still missing something. You might need something else, such as an acidity or more savoriness, such as umami, a bit of spice. I usually add more of those elements in that order. But how you do that and optimally balance out your food, you can see in my other video how to balance your food properly. So see you there. Bye-bye for now.